Okay, gang. Really quick here, I'm just going to say that I was busy this weekend, so I did not have time at all to talk anything Critics' Choice ahead of time as far as predictions for winners, as far as reactions to winners and everything. I was just super packed this weekend. We're going to go ahead and just run through the winners here real quick, just give some quick thoughts on Critics' Choice winners. And then I do want to go ahead and nail down my final predictions for BAFTA nominations for who's in and who's out. And just because, again, I'm kind of constrained for time here again today, I'm going to have to just talk the casting category, screenplay categories, acting categories, director, picture, and that's probably it. Let's go ahead and not bury the lead here with Critics' Choice. Five pretty big wins here tonight, or last night, I should say, for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So even though it got a couple good wins there at the Globes, now it seems like, okay, the balance has kind of shifted back, I think, to this one, especially since both its competitors, I think, at the Oscars at this point, for at least for frontrunner status, before we get into nominations, Fabelmans and Banshees both won nothing last night. Critics' Choice was all in for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So we'll go ahead and just cap here. It did win for both Best Picture and Best Director. So good on to the Danielses for getting in there for Director this time, and the Picture, of course. In the acting categories, Brendan Fraser bounces back after a loss at the Globes, which, again, I think some people will explain away just because, hey, he had, the groping allegations against one of the previous presidents of the HFPA, so there might have been some members that didn't like it. Plus, the Whale, generally speaking, did do ever so slightly better here at Critics' Choice as far as other nominations. Like, it didn't get a supporting actress nomination or anything. Again, I don't really count it, but Sadie Sink was in for Best Young Actor or Young Actress, so they at least recognize that. And it was up for makeup last night as well. So it did get, a couple other notices at least. But yeah, and I did have time to watch his speech and a little bit of Key's speech for supporting actor, also for Everything Everywhere All at Once. But we'll get to that here in probably just half a second. But both their speeches looked like they were pretty emotional. Brendan's especially caught some attention for that. I don't know if that's enough to say, okay, now he's just going to win everything going forward. But I think he certainly, at this point, I think if anybody was leaning against him after Austin Butler's win at the Globes, they might be swinging back. One other thing, though, that's going to be interesting, just going forward, not only for Austin Butler, but perhaps for the movie itself for Elvis, with the really sad news about the other Presley. I'm totally slipping on her first name. I was going to say Jamie, but Lisa Marie Presley. I don't know why. Where was I getting Jamie from? I don't know. But with Lisa Marie Presley passing away, not even 2 days after her appearance there at the Globes, where she was there, she was in the audience, she looked like she was very grateful for the recognition that Austin Butler got for the movie and everything. I was almost wondering right away if Austin Butler just comes out and just, really gives a really heartfelt, notice about that and stuff, and really speaks from the heart and stuff. Does that at all give him anything of an advantage going forward? Does that pump up the movie's chances, maybe even more so than in some categories, like we're not expecting? Like, maybe then Baz Luhrmann does get a good bounce back after missing at DGA for director, or maybe Tom Hanks is on the long list for BAFTA here, which nominations come out. I said it was Tuesday. I thought it was the week before the Oscars, but I believe it's on. Let's see here. Well, that's when the show is. I'm trying to figure out when the nominations are announced. See, I thought it was tomorrow, but evidently it's not. Where does it say here? The 19th. Okay, so that's Thursday. And it's probably going to be in the very, very early hours over here in the U.S., so I probably won't be able to do any live reactions to those, but I will, day of, I'll be able to come back. It'll probably be, again, like we had for the long list. It'll probably be just later in the day. But anyways, I know Tom Hanks is on the long list there for supporting actor. I don't know if that's a big opportunity for him to bounce back or anything. I'm not really sure where else. Maybe I don't have it in for editing right now, but I know some people like its chances in editing. Or maybe even screenplay. It can pick up that 5th slot for screenplay if we're not thinking Triangle of Sadness or something like that. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, for now, I'm still sticking with Brendan Fraser. Cate Blanchett won again for Best Actress for Tar. So if Michelle Yeoh or Michelle Williams were possibly going to win, over her, I think this would have been a very early sign of that. But so far, it's just smooth sailing for Cate Blanchett. Ke Huy Quan was again our winner in Supporting Actor. And, I don't see that falling apart anytime soon. Angela Bassett was our winner again for Supporting Actress. So I think almost by default she kind of becomes the front runner now. I think she looks like she'll continue that momentum into the not only an Oscar nomination, I'm pretty sure, but also for some momentum going into SAG as well. I think especially since Jessie Buckley, who we thought was maybe the biggest competition there, especially since she's not nominated at SAG, is not on the long list for BAFTA, and now I have taken her out of the nominations altogether. Yeah, it feels like she's Angela really has nobody else that's threatened her so far. So yeah, I really don't see her losing any steam anytime soon. The screenplay races, we had Everything Everywhere All at Once also pick up original screenplay, and then Sarah Polley won for her adapted screenplay for Women Talking. So neither one of those I don't think were a huge surprise. For the ensemble category, a little bit of a surprise here. I was thinking it was either going to be Fabelmans or Banshees or possibly Everything Everywhere All at Once, but instead it's Glass Onion. So they got a good win there. That keeps them, ever so slightly on the radar. And again, remember, there is no, like at the Globes, there is no direct crossover from voters from Critics' Choice to the Oscars, but it at least gets them a little bit of a notice there. Moving on to the tech categories here. Cinematography went to Top Gun. Which, I guess I'm just misreading this the whole time. I just did not really was not that I was against the film getting nominated, of course, but I was just worried, like with all the big press on how the actors themselves were filming some of the interior cockpit stuff and everything. Maybe there'd be some hush, or some buzz there at the, especially at the ASC branch, or the Guild rather, and then that would bleed over to the cinematographers branch at the Oscars, where they'd be like, "Oh, we're not gonna go for that." But of course, that doesn't negate at all. Of course, all the work they had to do to get those exterior shots of the jets flying by and everything, all that I'm sure again was not easy work. So. Plus, and Claudio did get in at the ASC as well for cinematography. So, so I do have that one now in at the Oscars as well. And I bumped out. It's weird. It feels really weird to not predict Roger Deakins in this category, but I couldn't think who else to pull out. Like I wasn't going to pull out Linus Sangren for Babylon, Janusz Kaminski, even though he could not. But even though neither of them could get in at ASC. I'm like, no, the cinematographer's branch, I think will go for those. I don't see a problem at all with them going with it. Russell Carpenter, I have also in for Avatar, and then my fifth nominee at the Oscars is, I believe, All Quiet on the Western Front. But, let's move on to editing, which went to Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is a little bit of a surprise. They go over Eddie Hamilton for Top Gun. I just thought that one was just going to sweep all the way through the season. But that is... Boy, I don't know. I don't think that carries any momentum going forward, though. I just think in this case, the voters liked that movie that much that they were willing to give it editing on top of everything else. But yeah, I don't doubt for a minute that Eddie Hamilton can also win everywhere going forward for editing. That is, unless he mysteriously misses from like the Ace Eddie Guild, which is, I believe, one of the last ones to announce, and that should be coming up here in the next few days. Costume design went to Ruthie Carter for Black Panther. Which again, I now with Angela Bassett looking like a lot more secure for not only a nomination but a win for supporting actress. I think that one will be on enough people's radars for some of these branches that it probably makes it in for costume design, production design. It might even sneak back into score. So we might see it, and on top of it, also getting a PGA nomination last week. We'll see if it can carry a little bit more momentum, and maybe we'll end up in a few more of those tech categories than we were maybe expecting. Production design was the only win for Babylon last night. That one did carry quite a few nominations, so I was kind of, I was like, well, they might give it something, but I was a little more shocked that they gave that something, and then both Fabelmans and Banshees, they just can't find a spot for it. That was a little interesting. In the We'll go to the music categories next year. Score went to Tar for Hildur, who is not on the short list for the Oscars for this, nor on... I don't believe she's on the list for BAFTA either for that category, but for Tar. I think she will get in for Women Talking, though, both at BAFTA and at the Oscars. And again, unless I'm totally forgetting and she just missed at BAFTA. But again, I don't have time to get into nominee predictions there for like the tech categories, so... Yeah, plus they're always a little weird with those sometimes. Best song went to Natu Natu from Triple R, so it capitalizes off of its win there also at the Globes for this category. So I think when we get to the Oscar nominations, as long as it's in, which I don't see for any reason that it's going to miss, then I think it will be the front runner when we get there. In the makeup and hairstyling category, Elvis was the winner there over The Whale, over Batman. Yeah, I'm a little surprised at that one as well. I think Elvis will get a nomination for that category, but I don't see it winning that one. We'll move on. Oh, I didn't do a couple other top categories like animated feature. That went to Pinocchio, no surprise, and foreign language film. Since Triple R was a nominee here, they gave it to that one, but I believe that's more of a popularity thing for this. I think All Quiet on the Western Front, I think, will have an easier time going forward when Triple R is not nominated against it in this category. And then visual effects, I believe, would be the last one. That went to Avatar, which is no surprise at all. So really, outside of the wins for Everything Everywhere All at Once, it was very much, it was a pretty, and then 2 wins, I guess, technically for Tar, because that won an acting category and score. Very spread out last night at the Critics' Choice. They pretty much gave everybody something. Again, unless you're Fabelmans, unless you're Banshees. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else that had like multiple nominations that they just couldn't find a spot for. But, I mean, nothing I'm seeing here. I mean, nothing really. I mean, Living had a couple... I think After Sun had a couple, but they couldn't find places for those. The Woman King probably had like 2 or 3, including director, that's right, yeah. But they couldn't find a place for that one. I mean, yeah, and I mean, a lot of these are not ones that we're super highly projecting to be Best Picture, contenders, like Banshees or like Fabelmans, so that's interesting. Though I know some of you are shouting at me, hey, what about Fabelmans winning for young actors? Again, that category does not carry over anywhere, so I don't really care. It doesn't mean anything to me, and it will not affect anything moving forward for the Oscars or anything else. So, yeah. Okay, the only time that really does matter is if we do have like somebody like, I don't know, let's say if Sadie Sink this year, just as an example, if she were more like high in contention for like supporting actress or something, if she gets a nomination here instead of supporting actress, or if she, in other words, if she doesn't get both, okay, then there's a little more relevance to it. But in this case, it was like, she kind of fell off pretty quickly, and then Hong Chow kind of took over for any, if anybody in that category was going to get in for the movie, it was going to be her, so, yeah. Okay, so with all that said, we're going to move on to, well, I guess otherwise, I think we've kind of covered most everything with Critics' Choice. I mean, I believe I said this last year, but my current cable package does not carry the CW, so I was not able to watch anything last night from the awards show, so I don't know how the host, I'm not sure if it was more than one person or not, how they did. Again, I just caught a few glimpses, a few, clips of some speeches, and that was about it. So, I unfortunately don't really have much else to add there. And on top of it, Critics' Choice, again, I've been more and more trending toward just like they're a footnote in the season. Not just because, like the Globes, there's no voter crossover, but also because these guys, again, like they did this year, 10 nominees in the directing category, 11 nominees in the Best Picture category, 6 or more acting nominations per category. It's like, it's an Oprah show. It's you get a nomination, you get a nomination, you get a nomination. And it really does not help narrow down stuff most of the time. Now, there are times where, okay, if somebody, you do have 6 slots and somebody doesn't get in, like Hugh Jackman in this case for Best Actor, it's like, okay, maybe that's a sign that maybe they are losing some steam, or they're just not hitting with all the televised voters and everything. Sometimes that comes into play, but not always. And of course, there's always times where people miss at Critics' Choice but end up getting an Oscar nomination. So that's even with 6 or 7 or 8 slots or however fucking many they do. because again, they seem to just, again, be a very Oprah-centric kind of award show where it's like anybody that wants a nomination gets a nomination, it seems. So there you go. Okay, but moving on to BAFTA, though. Who I also have some quibbles with BAFTA with their jury system. I'm not really sure how much longer they have to carry on with that. But yeah, we'll just go casting category and then screenplays on up in those races there. Okay, so for the casting category, I'm going to go with, I can try to roughly put these in alphabetical order here. All Quiet on the Western Front, Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Triangle of Sadness. Pretty much all of these have at least one acting contender on their long lists, in at least one category and stuff. Otherwise, your other 5 that were on the long list here were Tar, Living, The Fabelmans, After Sun, and Matilda. Matilda did get a few other notices there, but I don't know if that quite cracks a 5 list here. After Sun could overperform here at BAFTA on Thursday, so we might see that one do a little better than expected. I do have it pegged for a couple nominations, so we'll get to those here in a minute. And then, yeah, Fabelmans, like I've mentioned a couple times, they had a weird, really rough time here at BAFTA getting onto some of these long lists, which I know a couple people have suggested, hey, it hasn't released yet in the UK, so give it some grace. And my thought, my answer to that is, well, remember Parasite? It was 3 years ago now. Parasite had not opened in the UK by the time BAFTA nominations were out, but Parasite did very well. Very well. And I had it on good authority from multiple sources in the UK, people I was working with at the time for Cultured Vultures who were based out of the UK. They said, I really don't expect Parasite to do anything. And lo and behold, it shows up. So, so for that quibble about that, it's like, I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. It's, if Parasite, kind of like The Fabelmans was in a spot where it's like, hey, it's in like that top, 2 or 3 films. Yeah, if that one did nothing, okay, then I would more buy that opinion and buy that reasoning. But I look back to Parasite and I'm like, nope, that one did extremely well at BAFTA. Maybe not like getting like 80 nominations or anything, but it did pretty well. And that was, of course, also before the jury system and all that stuff kicked in as well. But again, I don't think that's super hardcore affecting it in that way. Let's see. So let's go ahead and move on to the screenplay races here. In adapted screenplay, again, I'm going to try to roughly put these in alphabetical order here. I've got All Quiet on the Western Front getting in here, Glass Onion, Living, She Said, and Women Talking. So this is one place I'm leaving The Whale out. Pinocchio I also, for a little bit, had in there for screenplay at the Oscars, but I'm going with those just probably missing there. But one of them could sneak in. On the original screenplay side, I have After Sun, I have The Banshees of Inisherin, I have Everything Everywhere All at Once, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness getting the 5 slots. The Fabelmans, even if it doesn't get a Best Film nomination, even if it's obviously not on the list for director or for supporting actor anywhere or anything like that, it could still get a screenplay nomination. They could give it that, but really that's the only other one I'm considering here. And I feel pretty good about my 5 here. Moving on to the supporting actress category, 6 nominees here. And again, I'm going to try to roughly, off the top of my head, put these into alphabetical order. Angela Bassett for Black Panther. Carrie Condon, Hong Chow would be next for The Whale. Then Carrie Condon for Banshees. Dolly De Leon for Triangle of Sadness. Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And Amy Lou Wood for Living are my 6. And right now, at least on Gold Derby, those are the consensus 6. I was after I said it, I was like, "Ooh, maybe we're underestimating Lashana Lynch for the Woman King. She is from Britain, after all, and she's popped up in a couple things here and there. Yeah, and it is on the list for director, for sure. So that's one thing to consider. Janelle Monáe may also sneak in there. Carey Mulligan, I'm not totally counting out. And the last option is, again, somebody I wouldn't totally count out and dismiss. That's Emma Thompson for Matilda. So, in other words, there's not really going to be way too many surprises in this category as far as who's in, who's out, because logistically you can look at an angle where all 10 of the nominees could be in there realistically. It's not like there's 2 or 3 that you're just like, I'm just dismissing those. That's not the case, which is kind of rare when we get to these long lists. Most of the time, there's like 2 or 3 on there where you're like, what the hell are you doing here? You're not. Yeah, I'm not considering you. Okay, we'll move on to the supporting actor category. And again, I'm going to try my best here to do these off the top of my head. But Brendan Gleeson for Banshees, Woody Harrelson for Triangle of Sadness, Carrie Keegan for Banshees of Inisherin, Ki Kwan for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Brad Pitt would be next for Babylon, and then Eddie Redmayne for The Good Nurse. So, I was very, very close to putting Michael Ward in there for Empire of Light. That could happen. Ben Whishaw is also playing to his home crowd here with Women Talking, so that could happen. The other two that are on the short list or long list or whatever are Albrecht Scooch for All Quiet on the Western Front and Tom Hanks for Elvis. Hanks, less so I'm considering. The other three, Albrecht, Ben, and Michael, I see a window for them to get in, but I don't know. I kind of like my 6 here. And again, outside of Tom Hanks would be the only one. If he makes it in, I'll be a little surprised at. The other ones, it would, you're kind of in a spot where it's like, you can make, kind of talk yourself into them getting a nomination. Okay. Next up here, we have Best Actress. Cate Blanchett for Tar, Viola Davis for The Woman King, Danielle Deadwyler for Till, Emma Thompson for Good Luck to You, Leo Grand, Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans, and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once are my 6. And this one, there are 2 that I would say, okay, look out for them. The other 2 I'm not really counting on much. So Leslie Manville possibly could get in for Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. And Ana de Armas, she showed up at the Globes, showed up at SAG. We'll see. She hasn't really had, I know, if I remember right, she might have made the long list last year for BAFTA here for No Time to Die, unless I'm just dreaming that. I know Daniel Craig was on the long list for Best Actor, but maybe she showed up in Supporting Actor. Maybe I'm dreaming that, but, it's like, okay, we'll see. I think they would have to boot Emma Thompson for her to get in. And then Emma might make up for that with a nomination in Supporting Actress for Matilda. So we'll see. But Emma did get in though at the Globes for Comedy Musical for Good Luck to You, Leo Grand. So not entirely impossible for her to miss here. But here's one other thing though. I still have Margot Robbie, who did not get a SAG nomination, was not on the list here for BAFTA, but I still have her in right now for Babylon at the Oscars just because I don't know. I just have a feeling that's going to happen. Just for some reason, I think that's going to happen. However, if it is Ana de Armas that gets that 6th slot, or she gets in, just in general, she gets in, over Emma Thompson or over Viola Davis, or possibly even over Danielle Deadwyler, even though Till is also up for director, has a nomination possibility there. If she gets in, I think I'm going to move her into my 5th slot. If not her, then Viola Davis. It'll be a coin flip for me between those two, because Viola has not shown any weakness so far. She's gotten in everywhere. The movie, generally speaking, it's staying around. It hasn't totally disappeared like I feared it might. So, especially being a past winner, sometimes you get that 5th slot, you go with a past winner like Penelope Cruz last year. So, I would say advantage for sure to Viola Davis if Ana de Armas does not get in. If it is Ana de Armas in on Thursday for Blonde here at BAFTA, again playing an American icon and stuff, that's a good show. That's a good show of strength. And then it becomes a battle in my head between, okay, who am I going to go with? So and she does have a little bit of that ingenue factor to her as well. She's kind of in that age range where it's like, okay, a nomination might happen for her. So we'll see. Okay, moving on to Best Actor. Here are my nominees. Again, I'm going to try to put these in alphabetical order here. Are Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for Banshees, Brendan Fraser for The Whale. Next up would be Felix Kammerer for All Quiet on the Western Front, Bill Nighy for Living, and Paul Mescal for After Sun. Those are my 6. Generally speaking, the other 4 I'm almost completely ready to dismiss here. Daryl McCormick is one where if Good Luck to You, Leo Grand maybe does a little better than we're expecting, maybe that could sneak into that 6th slot, or possibly Tom Cruise. Don't forget Top Gun is on the list here for directing. It did get a couple other slots there in the key slots in the long list, including screenplay. So we'll see. But the other 2 I am also just pretty much ready to dismiss there. Directing. This is always a tough one. This is always really tough. And right now, again, just because I don't trust what they're putting out there, I'm going 3 female directors to get in and 3 male directors to get in. or in one case, a male pair getting in. So, and I think I've got all the names down, right? I think I can remember 6 directors, because the list itself did not include the director's name. But let's see here. If I'm putting these in alphabetical order, it would be Edward Berger getting in for All Quiet on the Western Front. The Danielses for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Then we have Martin McDonagh, I believe, is next alphabetically for Banshees. I have him getting in. Sarah Polley I have getting in for Women Talking. Gina Price Bythewood for The Woman King, and I have Charlotte Wells, who was a nominee at DGA as well for First Time Director for After Sun, getting in. So those are my 6 there. So Todd Field I have out, and that one is I was like, okay, it's either a weird thing where the Danielses somehow miss for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and they put in Todd Field, or maybe Edward Berger, who I've been, probably since sometime in November, I've been, putting him in for director. Maybe this is the one shot where it's like, okay, if he doesn't get in here, that's kind of it. I mean, it's like, I can't remember the last time they had somebody, not pull off a nomination at BAFTA and get a surprise nomination at the directors, from the director's branch at the Oscars. Because even, if I have to go back, I believe Mikhail Haneke, who kind of surprised a lot of people when he got in for directing that year for Amour, he had a BAFTA nomination, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm going to check myself here. Yes, he did. He got in for director. So that's the key. You got to land this BAFTA nomination. The same way that we saw that happen with the Danish film. It's either I can remember the title and forget the director's name, or I can remember the director's name and forget the title. In this case, I'm forgetting both. Very nice. I can see the poster in my head, but yeah, that one, which I had him in for a minute there at the Oscars, and I had a perfect 5 for 5 for directing, and then I, like an idiot, took him out. Let's see here. And then the other example, of course, is Cold War, when Paul Pawlowski got in. He got that BAFTA nomination first, and we all of us were, that's not going to happen, and then it happened. So, yeah. So I think it's all on Edward Berger at this point to get one of these 6 slots here. Otherwise, let's see. I would have to look up again the gender of some of these directors to see who else, like female directors, is in there. Till, I know, and she said are both female directing. Otherwise, even though he got into DGA, I'm just not optimistic about Joseph Kosinski's chances to get back into directing here. Baz Luhrmann could get in for Elvis. This would be a good bounce back for him. And then it leaves me a little bit of suspense there for who I want to go with for my final 5 there for directing. And remember, there is, it seems over the years, there's growing crossover between BAFTA voters and Oscar voters. So, I look to all those, seemingly weird directing crossovers in the directing branch. You look at Anthony Hopkins getting a win here at BAFTA and then getting the win over Chadwick Boseman for Best Actor. Frances McDormand, I believe, also won here at BAFTA and then repeated at the Oscars. So, just to name a couple examples there. Okay, then the 5 I have getting in for Best Film, alphabetically again, are All Quiet on the Western Front, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Elvis would be ahead of that, sorry. And then I do have Top Gun Maverick actually getting that 5th slot over Tar and over The Fabelmans and over After Sun. I feel like those 3 are the next ones. Living, I will also say, does have a shot here to make the film list, but I think it's very, very feasible that it's not only going to get in for Best British Film, but probably will win that one too. And it could even, Hometown Hero with Bill Nighy, he might even get a win there in Best Actor. It's not entirely impossible. But still, that being said, I think After Sun is going to be close. Fabelmans might just stick around and get a slot anyways, even though, again, it is mysteriously missing from a lot of lists here. Tar is going to be, that's going to be the one where I'm going to be kicking myself if I don't put that one in. But generally speaking, All Quiet did so well here on the long lists, which can be deceiving. Remember, there's a couple films here and there at BAFTA since they started doing these long lists that they get all the nominations, they get all that stuff listed for like, hey, you could pop up here, and then they get like 2 nominations and they're done. And it's like, I don't know. That could be the case for All Quiet on the Western Front. It hasn't done significantly better than expected at some of the other shows. Like it didn't pop up anywhere at SAG. It didn't do extraordinarily well at Critics' Choice or Golden Globes for nominations. So yeah, so we'll see. But just I think overall the general popularity of it, the fact that it is probably ahead in the international feature category at the Oscars, and it's on Netflix. I think it's going to have a good shot here. So so that one I could just be blanking on, and I just could be just missing the popularity on that one, and maybe it's not quite as well off as I have it being here at BAFTA, but we'll see. And yeah, Elvis is the one where I'm a little questionable on it. Even Top Gun, I'm a little questionable on, but it is what it is, I think, here. So we're going to find out Thursday what the rest of the field looks like here at BAFTA. And yeah, we'll see how Everything Everywhere All at Once does in some of those tech categories. We'll see if who leads nominations. I think that's going to be Everything Everywhere All at Once will have a possibility to lead nominations. Banshees will have a high probability of leading nominations. Even All Quiet on the Western Front has a shot at leading nominations here on Thursday. Yeah, so we'll see, and maybe again we'll see if maybe Emma Thompson can be a double nominee, possibly. So there's a little bit going on there at BAFTA. So we'll come back on Thursday and we'll see how I did. And otherwise I think after that we will. I do have something going on next Monday. So time-wise, I should be able to work out where I do final nominations for Oscar predictions for who's nominated at the Oscars. I should be able to do that kind of later on Monday, not like late, not like, almost to the next morning or whatever. But it should be sometime middle of the day next Monday. I should have time to do that. Kind of a similar time to when I'm shooting this, which is middle of the afternoon here. But if not, there is a possibility too, weather-wise, that I might be stuck at the other location. So you might see some of the old school backgrounds, which is just about as boring as this one, if you go back to some of my older videos. So I might be stuck there come Tuesday morning even. So there's a chance that I'm going to be stuck there. If I do, I'm probably not going to have my handy-dandy microphone here. So it'll just be the mic from my laptop here. So you'll have to bear with me if that does happen to be the case next Tuesday rather. So, okay. We will see there's a few other things going on. So it'll be busy here this week, but I probably am done until BAFTA nominations are out. So we'll probably see on Thursday. If not, if something else comes up, something significant, then we'll discuss that. One other thing, while I was thinking about it, the other thing I was thinking of, there could be a development in the race. Since we talked about Austin Butler with Lisa Marie Presley passing away. The other thing was I did see a release on, I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday. John Williams was doing a Q&A with Spielberg on The Fabelmans, and supposedly now Williams is starting to walk back his retirement claims now, which for once, even though Williams I think is like the all-hail like best film composer of all time, just no contest for me. He is getting up there in age, and personally, not say, obviously even his later work has been good stuff. I mean, the stuff he did, even though a lot of it is repeat for like the newer Star Wars trilogy, for the most part was really good music. Force Awakens especially, I thought had some really great new themes in there. The Book Thief, the score for that was incredible. Absolutely incredible. I know not very many people saw the movie, but if you didn't see the movie, at least go and Google some of the like the title track and stuff. Do some of that for that one. War Horse, I really loved his score for. Lincoln also had a really good score. So even in these later years, John Williams has not really slowed down as far as his quality. Even that being said, with the Fabelmans and stuff, I thought this was a really good opportunity for him to get his sixth and potentially final win here for that. So I don't know. So I've had him out front all season for score, but if he's not retiring, I think that does make a little bit of an impact in that race, and it does leave the possibility open for possibly Justin Hurwitz to get another win if he gets in for Babylon. Remember, we all had him in for First Man. Babylon, though, retrospectively, does have a much higher Oscar probability than First Man did at this point in the race, so to be fair. But, and I'm just naming him just because he won the Globe. But Hildur, she does have Women Talking, which is on the list, which could get in, even though her score for Tar won last night at Critics' Choice. That's not on the short list at the Oscars. So, She is on the short list, though, for Women Talking, so we'll see if Women Talking possibly could be her second win as well. So, yeah, we'll probably, again, we'll have a little bit of time there later this week, and we can discuss, or early next week, and we can discuss the final options there before we get the nominations out. So, all right. So, yeah, we'll probably see you after BAFTA nominations are out, and that'll be on Thursday.